you're about to be inspired. Kevan Chandler, welcome to Spirit 105.3. How are you?
Hey, Erica. I'm good. How are you doing?
Well, I am absolutely delighted to meet you today. You have inspired me, like, to my core, and you've got
Aw,
some really good friends.
thanks. Thanks. I think so.
Tell me your story. I mean, there's so much to this, but if you were meeting somebody from Mars who never heard what happened to you, how would you describe it?
Oh, man. Well, I'm guessing I would have to learn the language. No. My friends and I in 2016, we went to Europe together, and I usually spend my time in a wheelchair, a power wheelchair, and cannot walk at all. And everything we wanted to do in Europe was not going to be wheelchair accessible. So we left the wheelchair behind and came up with a specially designed backpack for them to carry me for 3 weeks we explored all kinds of crazy stuff.
Kevan, they created, with your help, this backpack that is so unique and is now helping other people. What did that mean to you that your friends would go to these lengths?
Yeah, well, I mean, that was how many, eight years ago, and I am still blown away by their love for me and just the ways that we got to take care of each other on the trip. And of course, it's not just this 1 3-week trip, but it's life before that and after that. And I love how I got to see Jesus lived out in our friendships every day and every moment of that specific trip.
Yeah, I really like the way you put that. How did you see Jesus in your friends, and how do you think they saw Jesus in you?
Well, I feel like my side of seeing it in them was probably a lot easier because they were, literally carrying me on their backs and really sacrificing physically a lot in that way. And the thing also about the trip to Europe is, it's one thing to have a high adventure throughout the day with the backpack, but then at the end of the day, we would get back to wherever we were staying, and the work wasn't done because I still needed help with food or the restroom or turning over in the middle of the night and things like that. And so I got to see that firsthand over and over, their sacrifice for me. But I would say, and I feel confident about this because we've talked about it before, that, they saw my love and care for them by sacrificing my own desires and my own pride and my own agendas for what the trip would look like, whether it was where we went or what the pace should be. And, there were times when I was uncomfortable or physically uncomfortable or had other things I'd rather be doing in that moment. And yet I recognized that they also were coming on this trip with dreams and desires to do things, and they also needed time to rest, or they needed, breaks throughout our time. And so adjusting myself for them, especially in my heart and my mind.
Wow. Kevan, how did it feel when you were literally being carried by your friends on this trip?
Well, I was much taller than I ever have been before.
I love your humor.
Well, my wife likes to point out that I just have a lot of tall friends. So I was above them, and they are usually a head above everybody else. So felt pretty tall and had to dodge some doorways as well. And I really, there's the physicality of it, but then the kind of the spiritual side of it, I guess, the experiential side, because I was taller and I also, my body isn't used to walking motions, so my neck had to build different muscles and my whole body had to experience something that it never had before, the stride of a person. And it was funny, too, as a side note, to start recognizing the gait of each guy. This one kind of favors this leg, or this one was obviously in marching band because he walks really smooth, or different stuff, and
Oh,
and some kind of have more of a bounce than others, and so there was all of that. But then also just in general, the things that I literally could see that I wouldn't otherwise have seen, and so that could be the places that we went, but also the height gave me a different perspective. I remember at one point we were in a train station and we were looking for a friend of ours, and they kind of left it up to me to find that person because I was the tallest one. I could see everyone everywhere, and that had never been the case in my life. So, all around, it was a brand new experience for me.
you were the spotter, Kevin.
I was, for once in my life.
Hey, I can relate. I'm 4'11", so I
Oh,
see
wow.
nothing. Yeah. But Kevin, I'm thinking about a story in the Bible about the friends that brought their mutual friend who couldn't walk to Jesus. And
Mm,
your story is so reminiscent of that. And I just want to say, I feel like there have been times when Jesus has carried me. He didn't heal me of what I was going through or heal the person I was praying for, but I could feel him carrying me through difficult times in my life.
mm.
Isn't that such a beautiful parallel to this story?
It is. And I think that there are times when we, on our own, can feel that and experience that on a kind of, just between me and Jesus kind of experience. But then also, I love how he often brings people around us to give kind of a physical touch to that.
Yeah.
I remember at one point on the trip, I got injured, and they sat me down on the curb, and I was just processing. This hurts a lot, and I feel very alone in this moment. And God, I just need someone in my corner. And I very clearly heard the Lord say, I put 6 guys in your corner. You're okay, and they are my hands and feet in this moment, and so I'm so thankful for that. And it reminds me of in Hosea when the Lord says that they don't realize that it was I who lifted them up, and with cords of kindness. And I think some translations say cords of humanity. He uses his people to care for his people, and it's a really, really beautiful picture of his love for us.
Yes, it is. Kevin, you're awesome. So what would you have missed if you hadn't gone on this trip in this backpack with your friends? What is something you would have missed?
Wow, that is a great question. I've never considered that before. I would have probably never gone to Europe, and all the 3 countries that we went to England, France, and Ireland, and each one had kind of a special meaning to me, and then the other guys had reasons to go as well to each one. But for me, those reasons would still be kind of cloudy daydreams.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so
Yeah.
I wouldn't have seen in color the things that I wanted to see and be a part of. And so I'm really thankful for that. I think too, more in a long-term sense, we did that trip in 2016, and then in 2018, as a follow-up, we went to China, and part of our visit there was to an orphanage for kids with special needs. And it was there that I met Katie, who 2 years later became my wife. And so she was working over there. She's from the States, but she was working over there at the time, and we just really hit it off. So to answer your question, if we had never gone to Europe, I would, maybe have never met my wife and been, the happiest man in the world now.
Oh, I'm so delighted for you. And I hear you've got a children's book out now. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so after our trip to Europe, I came home, and of course, I kept a lot of journals and blogs and things on the trip, and we made a documentary, and so I had a lot to help me kind of hone in writing a book about that adventure, and so that came out. It's what we call now a grown-up book, since we have the children's book
Yes.
also.
Yes.
But so it's a memoir that came out in 2019, and then we this past year released our children's book version of that back in December. And so the reason we did that is because we've been distributing our backpack to families all over the world. There's about 1,200 families in 45 countries, something like that. And I realized at some point that while the book was really inspiring and helpful to the parents of these families, most of the folks that actually are in the backpack using it are young kids.
Oh.
And so they're not really old enough to read the book yet. Maybe their parents could read it to them, but even still, there's not a lot of pictures or anything. And I wanted something that the person in the backpack could enjoy and could say, "Hey, that's what I have. That's what I do." And so now we made the children's book originally to put in every backpack that we send out.
Oh,
And,
Kevan, that's amazing.
Yeah, and so as the project came together, we realized, well, this isn't just a story for those specific families. This is a bigger story about friendship and caring for one another and trusting each other. And so we made it available to the public.
I'm so glad you did. You can find everything out about Kevan at WeCarryKevan, Kevan with an A.org. And Kevan, I just want to say, I know your friend said to you, ditch the wheelchair. And I feel like they're saying it to me too, through you, like ditch the limitations and throw yourself into the arms of the God who has no limitations. So Kevan Chandler, what an honor having you on the show. God bless you, my friend.
Yeah, thank you.